Eu já pulei uma introdução aqui de 4 minutos, onde ele fala um pouco sobre a história da Bethel. Mas se você quiser ver o vídeo completo, eu vou deixar ele aqui na descrição. É do canal Church From, do Jay Gosling. E vamos lá, vou dar o play aqui. Vamos começar já na Front of House Audio. Que é loucura já, né? Que já é loucura. Olha essa mesa.
So let's dive into front of house audio. We talked to Chris Greeley, Bethel's mixing engineer for this conference. He has mixed many of Bethel Music's albums and countless other studio and live albums. So
ele já
anyone is
mixou vários
qualified to
álbuns
talk
da
about
Bethel.
mixing, it's him. Let's hear from Chris about their front of house mixer and PA setup and his tips and advice when it comes to mixing.
Hi, I'm Chris Greeley. I'm running front of house for Open Heavens at this time right now. Here at Open Heavens, I'm on an SD series console. I'm just on the baby SD9 right now.
Olha isso. Pelo
It gets
amor de
enough done
Deus.
to make things work. The bigger one's a little
Só
better,
uma
but this is
SD9.
working just fine. And
Fine.
using the Meyer Lion, and I have
É a Maia.
6 700 HPs, which are discontinued at the moment, but I always liked them.
Cara, você vê que o som da galera lá na gringa não tem muito sub, né? Aqui, tipo, o que ia ter de line ia ter de sub também. Ia ter 12 elementos de line, ia ter 12 elementos de sub no chão também. Aqui a gente é meio que um para um, assim, o sub fala muito. Lá parece que tanto eles tocam mais baixo, né? Parece que lá o aceitável mais alto é 80 dBA, uma parada assim. E eles não têm muito punch de... Eles têm muito SPL, mas não muito volume de sub, né? É mais ou menos essa ideia, eu acho, deles lá.
Really well. And they're in cardioid, and then we are running the Meyer Galaxy, which is awesome. And so when I tune the PA with this stuff, I have
Tá falando do
the
processador que
ability
ele
to
usa, né?
pick
Pra
different filters,
PA.
which makes it so that I can have a different phase trace in order to match the speakers up really, really nicely. So I'm really, really
Ele tá falando como ele
huge
faz
fan of the
soar,
Galaxy.
né?
There's really nothing.
Com
I don't think there's
processador
anything
de áudio
better. I think the
pra
Galaxy is absolutely the best
line.
system processor in the world. So I have SoundGrid running right here, and in SoundGrid I have basically everything running through SoundGrid in one way or another. All of my main instruments. I don't really use
Isso
it
aí,
for
o cara já
EQ that
colocou
much. I
plugin
mostly use
Waves
it for
para
dynamics
monitorar
because
a
the
mix
dynamics
dele.
on just about any console out there aren't super great. They work, but you know, on this console in particular, they distort a little bit when you really get them moving. So
Ele tá falando que
I
faz
just use
som bom em
SoundGrid for all of
qualquer...
that
É
stuff.
porque
One
com
of
uma
the cool
banda
things that
dessa aí não
maybe
tem como
not
fazer
a
um
lot
som
of
ruim, né,
people know
irmão?
is the
Até com a
SD series
Watson aí o
consoles are
cara
the
faz
only
um
ones
som
that can fully remote
maravilhoso.
control SoundGrid as well. So I have a knob
Ele
and
tá
a button.
falando que ele gosta
Any
que essa
parameter I
mesa
click on
soa
there, I can
bem.
use my knob and my button. And if I select any channel, it pulls the channel up on the screen. And not all the consoles do that. So
Ele
it's
tá
pretty
falando
nice.
que tem essa
when
relação
I'm
entre
mixing
a
at
mesa e
conference,
quando
it
ele
is
seleciona ali,
absolutely
aparece na
not
tela,
4
né,
beats.
para ele ver
I am
todas
mixing
as
for other people,
configs.
and so whoever it is that I'm mixing for right now, my boss would be Bill Johnson. And Bill will tell me if he wants something changed. Usually he doesn't, but he will let me know if he wants something changed. And I have no agenda. If he says I want less low end and I think it's fine, it's totally fine. If he wants less low end, I'm going to turn it down. If he wants the volume quieter, I'll turn it down. If he
E pega isso aqui, tá? Isso aqui é o engenheiro de áudio da Bethel, tá? Pega isso aqui. É o Chris Greeley, que tem vários álbuns premiados da Bethel aí na mão do cara. É um excelente engenheiro, tá? O cara falou assim, o my boss, né, o chefe dele é o Bill Johnson, que é o pastor da igreja, o pastor sênior, né? E aí ele falou assim, pô, eu acho às vezes que tá bom o som, né? Digamos, eu tô aqui transliterando para você. Mas se ele falou que é pra baixar, cara. Você tá entendendo que não é um operador da Watson, tá? Não é. É um cara enorme e tá falando aqui. Se o Bill Johnson falou que é para baixar, é para baixar. Então, se o seu pastor falou que é para baixar, irmão. Tá? Pega aqui essa dica com o cara.
wants it louder, which I pray he doesn't, because it's killing me to be mixing for so many hours at this volume. I'll turn it
O
up.
volume tá falando
It's
aqui.
really for other people, and I'm
Tirar da
trying to
cara
use
dele.
my skills to facilitate everything that's going on in that stage in this room, and to the very best of my ability, and to whatever my client wants as well, or whatever our leadership wants. And I think that's really important, and a lot of engineers just totally miss that. They think, oh, this is what I like, and this is what, it doesn't matter what you like. It's the same thing with worship. When you're doing worship, you're like, oh, I don't like worship, but why is it about you? Worship's about God. And I honestly, I am trying with everything I have in me to turn mixing into another expression of worship. I really, I hear what the crowd's doing. I want the crowd to be a part of the worship, even in the sound. So I try not to overpower the crowd with the PA too much. I try to have it, I can hear the people.
Olha que legal, ele falou aqui que ele usa essa parte da mixagem, né, como uma parte da adoração, né? Então a gente às vezes acha que, pô, é o time da guitarra, às vezes a gente acha que é a voz da pessoa, que tudo isso é adoração, mas o cara que tá ali, o técnico de áudio, ele tá também transmitindo tudo que se passa no palco. Sem técnico de áudio, a guitarra não vai soar para lugar nenhum, porque é ele que dá volume, é ele que mixa, ele que equaliza. Então, ele também, em certo sentido, ele está ministrando junto com o louvor, está ministrando junto com o pastor, né? O técnico, ele participa de toda o worship moment, né? De todo o momento de oração, de adoração, tudo isso, porque ele está ali também entregando através da mesa de som ali.
But it's not so quiet they don't want to sing. It's not so loud that they can't hear each other. But just like try to find that volume where
nada muito alto que não possa ouvir um ao outro. Isso é legal. A gente tem que ouvir a igreja também cantando.
One experience, and honestly, I have a lot of power to be able to play into that from this platform.
Cara, muito louco, muito louco, muito louco. Instrumentos e vocais agora, vamos lá.
At the Open Heavens Conference, the worship team was rocking 10 people. You've got 3 vocalists, 3 electric guitars, a bassist, a violinist, and then your keyboardist and drummer, who both run Ableton Live for a Click and Tracks rig. The vocalists rock Shure wireless microphones with the V7 MC1 capsules, which have stellar sound. Then the guitars are all being sent to Fender ProSonic amps using the TC Electronic Teleport GLT system, which converts the unbalanced guitar signals to a balanced signal, which is then sent backstage to the amps. The keyboardist is rocking the Nord Stage 3, which is plugged into an audio interface, which sends the signal to a rack-mountable DI box and off to the Stage Subsnake. For drums, they're using Truth custom shells, Zildjian cymbals, and DW hardware. They mic the drums with Audix drum microphones, a Shure SM57 on the snare, and AKG condensers for overhead. Miking the crowd is key for having a live and natural sound for broadcast and in-ear mixes. In this venue, they use the Sennheiser shotgun microphones. Then the keyboard rig is stationed next to the Ableton
bacana
rig.
Isso aqui que ele falou, né, da questão de você transmitir naturalidade na mix da live, no ao vivo. É colocar esse microfone do público, né? Que cria o ambiente de quem está em casa, de ter aquela sensação. Se você já assistiu um jogo de futebol, aí você percebe que tem vários microfones, não sei se você percebeu, né? Mas você consegue ouvir o chute da bola, você consegue ouvir a torcida gritando. Tudo isso faz você parecer estar dentro do estádio, mesmo estando em casa. Você ouve a torcida vibrando, você ouve o técnico gritando, porque tem vários microfones espalhados ali pelo estádio. Então, isso gera a sensação de eu não fui lá, mas eu tô meio que próximo. E essa sensação é a mesma gerada quando você coloca microfone de público na sua igreja, na transmissão, tá? Você joga ali um pouquinho, você vai perceber que quem está em casa ouvindo aquele amém, glória a Deus, batendo palma, cantando junto com o louvor, essa ambiência gera muito mais naturalidade.
Is where the keyboard gets all of its sounds from, but this may seem a bit superfluous considering that the drummer also has an Ableton setup next to the drums. Drake Kelch, the production manager for Bethel Church, explains why they have this set up the way that they do.
Yeah, so we have the ability in the patch list for drums to run Tracks and Click, or keys to run Tracks and Click, or both. The keys player always uses Ableton and Reason for their sounds and everything like that. They can put Tracks and Clicks in there if they want to, or the drummer can. So in this case, right now it's on the keys player, he's doing it all. The first night we had a different drummer and he was doing Tracks and Click. So it really depends on the band and who's playing, but we have the ability to even do both. So sometimes we'll have the opener come from drums and then the keys player will take the rest of the set. And then at home we have a network so the Ableton sessions can link.
Bem a ideia.
And then that way the clicks are the same and all that kind of stuff.
Running to
parece que o Ableton Live que eles usam para soltar o VS é linkado tanto do computador do tecladista quanto do baterista, e depende da banda que está tocando. Às vezes o MD é o batera, às vezes o MD é o tecladista, e aí como tá linkado, se o cara der play na batera vai sair de qualquer jeito, se der play no teclado também vai sair de qualquer jeito. Essas automações são bem legais, né?
Ableton sets at once allows for an incredible amount of freedom, as both the drummer and the keys player also have talkback mics that let them communicate to the band.
Cara,
This system allows them to free flow and
isso aqui, se você tiver, isso é o problema, às vezes é que a gente não tem uma medusa ali, né? Muito canal pra gente usar, às vezes já estamos limitado ali para usar canal. Mas se você conseguir ter um talkback para falar com a galera, isso é muito bom. Eu uso um pedal de talkback, que geralmente como eu ministro, eu tô falando aí também, então eu tenho um pedal de talkback que ele muda, quando eu aperto mantenho pressionado, ele muda para outro canal para eu falar com a banda. Mas é interessante também o técnico ter um talkback lá na mesa de som para falar com a banda, e se alguém for importante ali na execução de alguma coisa, às vezes é o batera que canta os riffs ali, ó, gente, tem esse riff tal, é interessante deixar um mic talkback ali com batera para ele poder falar essas nuances aí, tipo, não é dinheiro, tá? É só técnica mesmo de você pegar e implementar aí na sua igreja.
be spontaneous in worship while still utilizing click and tracks. Any click and tracks rig isn't possible without in-ear monitors, so we sat down with their monitor engineer to try and get a handle on everything going on with
Velho, isso aqui já é fora da realidade, tá?
the system.
My name is David Payton, and I'm a monitor engineer for this conference. I'm just a mix engineer
Não é que é fora da realidade, mas é fora da realidade de muitas igrejas.
for the
Você
church.
ter duas mesas, uma que faz monitoração só de fone de ouvido e outra mesa que faz só o PA e outra mesa que faz só a transmissão, que é o caso deles aqui, né? Mas nesse caso ele vai estar explicando aí sobre como é o controle, né, dos fones de ouvido da galera que toca.
So I'll do front of house and I'll do monitors sometimes. I'm mixing all the ears for the bands and handling as much stage setup as we need, getting all the artists set and comfortable, getting their ears set, making sure that things are mic'd properly, making sure everyone's plugged in, that sort of stuff.
While making sure things are plugged in is hard enough on its own, David's responsibilities behind the mixer get a little bit more challenging. David mixes the in-ear mix for every single member of the worship team individually.
O
The
cara
wireless
mixa
system that
aí
the band
todos
members
os
use is
fones.
the Shure PSM 1000s. For mixing monitors, they have a Digico SD8, which is responsible for some light processing and gain structure.
Você vê
The
que eles têm
beauty
uma
of this system is that everything has been getting sent
SD9
into
lá no
Waves
PA e
sound
uma
grid for all of
SD8
the
aí.
effects processing. Waves has
E
extremely
o mesmo
powerful
Waves
plugins
lá
and
rolando
compression,
os
so it's interesting to
plugins
see
e
Waves actually beat out Digico in that
monitoração.
aspect for Bethel.
Então
But
você vê que a galera que escuta no fone aí, escuta um CD 4K, tá? Porque tem plugin, tem Waves rolando, tudo saindo da mesa da SD8, indo para um bodypack da Shure PM100, né? Então, enfim, tudo isso aí, essa combinação de qualidade, o cara tá ouvindo ali, não é é praticamente o que a gente está ouvindo fora também, só que com clique e VS.
The question I'm sure you're thinking too is, how does it even work to have someone else mix your in-ears? How can they know what sound that you need?
Our artists and our worship leaders are amazing musicians. Like they're amazingly talented people. And sometimes they'll have a lot of feedback, like, hey, I need a lot changed. But I've been on the team for like 4 years now, and I've gotten to know the leaders and know their preferences and stuff like that. So I definitely have like an advantage going into the set, you know, knowing, hey, this artist likes a little bit more crowds, this artist doesn't like more crowds, like those types of things. So I have that advantage going in, but if it's a worship leader that
Isso aqui é bacana, ele fala que já trabalha há muitos anos com a galera, né, já serve junto aí, então ele já sabe as preferências do que colocar no fone, mas ele botou um ponto interessante que muita gente usa o fone de um lado só, é uma advertência para você, tá? Se você usa um fone de um lado só, que nem eu de vez em quando usava, você acaba perdendo sensibilidade em um dos lados. Eu mesmo já não tenho muita sensibilidade no ouvido esquerdo, eu escuto mais no ouvido direito. Eu não sei quantos por cento eu perdi, mas alguma coisa eu perdi nessa brincadeira aí. Mas ele está falando que ele coloca os microfones de público para os fones, e isso é muito importante porque a pessoa, quando está ouvindo o microfone de público, parece que ela nem está com fone, porque a sensação de ouvir o público no fone te dá uma amplitude de ambiente, que às vezes a gente tira o fone para ouvir o público responder, falar. Então, se você tem microfone de público na sua igreja, você joga eles para live, joga eles também no fone dos músicos, para eles não terem que ficar dando aquela tiradinha, né? Deixa todo mundo ali alinhado. Isso aí é uma dica boa que você já pode aplicar amanhã aí na sua igreja.
never mixed for before, there can be, you know, a longer conversation or just, you know, more.
Muito feedback, aí a galera fala muito, conversa muito sobre as mudanças da mixagem no fone.
One of the
Tudo
biggest
tem que ser conversado.
Our monitor mixes here is what we do in Waves, being able to provide good compression, transparent compression to the whole band, which means we're compressing drums, we're compressing the bass, we're compressing guitars, keys. If that's wrong, there's not really any amount of EQ you can do to make things right. There's not really any way to balance a mix without appropriate compression. So I would say figure out what compressors you have. Not everyone's going to be able to use a Digico like I get to use, but figure out the tools that you have, learn the basics of what compression is needed on what instrument, on what source, and how those blend together. I'd say if you get that right, EQ becomes really easy, and then balancing a mix becomes
Ele está falando aqui dessa questão de usar as ferramentas com moderação, compressão, porque depois não dá para acertar isso, né? Então,
I'd say learn your tools as best as you can.
Aprenda aí o melhor que você pode sobre as ferramentas que você tem nas mãos.
Get that right.
Isso é importante, aprendizado. Caraca, essa parte aí de roteamento, meu irmão. Segura a bomba.
So far, we covered their audio system at front of house and in-ear monitors, but an often overlooked but crucial aspect of any audio system is routing. How do they get audio sources from the stage to the various destinations it needs to be mixed and heard by the audience? There are two major factors when designing your audio routing setup. First, how many different mix destinations do you have? In this case, they have 3 destinations. The front of house mix for event attendees, the monitor mix for musicians, and the broadcast mix for Bethel TV. The second major factor
para mandar esse áudio todo que tá rolando aí.
In this case, they wanted to have independent gain
cru,
control
né?
for Chris at front of
Cada
house,
vai
while the
mixar de uma
monitor
forma
and
diferente.
broadcast
Vai
engineers
para o
share the
PA,
same
outro vai
gain
para os
structure.
fones
They
e outro
created
vai
this setup by routing all channels to an
para
analog stage box
transmissão ao
that
vivo.
duplicates the signal and sends them into 2 digital stage stage boxes. One stage box sends the signal to the front of house mix over the MADI digital audio networking protocol. The other stage box sends the signal to the monitor and broadcast mixers. The signal starts at the source and then gets sent to the stage snake on the stage, where it goes to the analog split, which then sends the signal to the first stage box and then through the MADI network to the front of house mixer. Then goes from the analog split to the second stage box, where through the MADI network it gets sent to the back of house mixer and the broadcast studio. It's really all pretty simple stuff. While this routing system may sound a tad...
Ele tá explicando aqui como o roteamento funciona, né? Vou voltar aqui naquela imagenzinha que ele botou.
For Chris at front of house, while the monitor and broadcast engineers share the same gain structure. They created this setup by routing all channels to an analog split to the second stage box, where through the MADI network it gets sent to the back of house mixer and the broadcast studio. It's really...
Pronto. Ele tá falando que o que acontece aqui. Os sinais são pegos ali, né? Vão para um rig que junta todos os sinais, manda o split lá para a medusa geral, né? O stage box. Esse stage box manda via MADI, que é um protocolo, né? Tem o Dante, MADI, a ECBU, enfim, tem muitos protocolos de áudio que você pode usar. Tá mandando MADI aí para Digico, para o PA. Aí tem um split que vai a medusa para o PA, e uma outra medusa com os mesmos equipamentos, o mesmo setup, que vai para o monitor e para transmissão. Basicamente é isso. Só que como é que vai, né? Conectado ali 2 stage box no palco, entra ali teclado, bateria, em todos os dois, a mesma coisa, duplicado. Via cabo de rede, protocolo vai lá MADI para a mesa, então a mesa não recebe os cabos, só recebe o cabo de rede. E o outro stage box, ele vai para um splitter, e esse splitter vai mandar o mesmo sinal via MADI, né? Não é o sinal digital, para a mesa de monitoração e para a mesa de streaming, né? Tudo aí vai ser conectado via rede, digamos.
All pretty simple stuff. While this routing system may sound a tad complex, it gives David the flexibility he needs to create pristine mixes for the band.
So anyway, when we start a sound check, it usually starts with, hey, just getting everybody plugged in, and then I'll be on the console and I'll just set gains, because from drummer to drummer,
primeira coisa, ele acabou de falar aqui. Chegamos, fazer o sound check, né, passagem de som, plugamos, primeira coisa, setar os ganhos, estrutura de ganho.
The gains could be
Não foi o que falei.
From guitar player to guitar player. The amps are going to be different levels, keys, everything is different. Singers even sing, a lot.
Todo mundo é diferente, cantor canta diferente do outro, a voz não é a mesma, a potência não é a mesma, o guitarrista tem uma pegada diferente da outra, o batera tem uma pegada diferente da outra. Então você tem que passar o som, ver como cada um toca, né, para estruturar o ganho, para nada ficar estourado.
Louder, so setting gains first, and then what we do is once all the gains are set and everyone's plugged in, we'll start with the drums, and the drummer will just play like a chorus or a bridge of one of the songs in the set.
Começa pela bateria, pede para ele tocar um refrão, a ponte, algo mais alto.
Everyone will kind of just go thumbs up, thumbs down, and I'll adjust their mixes for each of them on the fly, right there.
Vai ajustando.
And then we'll add the bass in, and then we'll add the first electric guitar, second electric guitar.
Aí baixo,
so we're kind of building a band mix in the
guitarra
same way that
dois.
you would at front of house. You'd solo something out, or you just kind of add layers. Well, we do that at the monitor booth as well, but we do it times 11 mixes, so it's a lot of mixes. So I'm having to move really fast. That's usually when I sweat the most, is during when we start sound check. That is the most efficient way to get everybody close to the mix that they want as quickly as possible. It's then after that we'll do fine touches, fine tuning during the actual practice.
So that covers Bethel's audio setup. It's
meu irmão,
crazy the level of
estuda, hein?
excellence that comes from every single member of the team to make the whole system work. Each band member is incredibly good at what they do and can communicate with David during soundcheck, but many times David actually knows what needs to be fixed and does it on his
Você
own.
percebe que
Then
eles
it's up to
se
Chris to put
comunicam
together
demais,
a
né?
mix for the
Muito
front of
talkback,
house,
muito feedback,
independent from
muita
what
gente
David is
falando,
doing, but all coming
conversando,
together
melhora
as
isso,
one.
bababá. Aí já vamos pra galera já, lighting design já. Aí já é muita coisa.
For lighting fixtures, Bethel has every angle covered. For wash LEDs, Bethel uses the GLP-X4 washes,
Essa aí
which
eu
are
nunca
placed
nem
in
vi
groups
na minha
of two
vida, isso aí.
around the stage
Sei
for a
nem o que é
powerful
isso.
color wash. For their profile
Esses
lighting,
wash
they use
LED
the
aí.
Verilight VL4000s. Then, for their key light, they use Verilight
Pesquisa quanto é a brincadeira
VL3500s,
de um
which have
Verilight
four-way
desse aí.
shutters that can really
Caro,
help them hone in and manipulate that light. They cover the basics well here with a well-designed three-point lighting system. For crowd light and blinders, they use Rode color strobes, which are highly versatile and bright. Then they also employ haze.
Esses color strobe são muito bons para você colocar de primeira compra aí pro seu setup de luz na igreja. Eu coloquei os mini brutes, mas os strobos são mais versáteis porque você pode mudar a cor do strobo, né? Eles são bem fortes, aí você pode iluminar o público ali com azul, com vermelho, criar um ambiente, né? Em volta ali, sei lá, música sobre fogo, também laranja, você ilumina o público ali laranja também, cria aquela atmosfera toda. Eu acho bacana também, uma opção versátil e não é tão caro, tem opções baratas aí no mercado para você comprar.
Using the MBG Atmosphere Hazer. Since Bethel has an
Haze é sempre. Haze sempre.
LED setup
Não
that they
compre
set
máquina
up and tear
Foley, tá?
down, the ones you see here are used at their main campus as well, and it gives them a lot of opportunity for extra light and content display. The LED panels you see them using here are the Unilumin UPad 3s, which have a 4.8mm pixel depth. They also have a large LED pad at the back of the stage, but all of the other pads climb up the wall and also act as lids for the stage.
Esse LED é
So
bonito.
what was the idea behind this powerful lighting rig?
We've been doing actually a lot of different lids. Heaven Come has a giant lid. It's actually one of the largest LED lids ever done in production. We hung like, I Heaven Come was like 54,000 pounds. It's like the set, that's how much it weighed. The idea with this set was one, to create like these strips to do like a lot of like color with them. So kind of using the LED more as like a light fixture instead of as content, because you can't put like a lot of content on these. They don't hold a lot, it's very small, but you can use them more as a light. And I tell people that a lot with LEDs, like don't always use it for content. Like it's a giant light source, so you can do stuff like Liam's been doing chases.
Bem legal que ele tá falando que ele tá usando esses LED strips aí, essas linhas de LED que tá aqui por cima aqui na lateral também. Ele falou, nem sempre o LED precisa ser usado para conteúdo, né? Mas porque ia ficar muito pequeno, não ia dar para ler nada. Mas você pode usar para iluminar. Bem legal essa ideia, né? Você que tem LED e quiser montar outras coisas, é interessante você desmontar o LED e montar ele de uma forma diferente, só para ele ter uma sobreposição ali que não de fato vai passar um conteúdo, mas vai usar para fazer parte da iluminação, digamos assim, né?
Or he can strobe it, or big, like on big moments he can use it as like a blinder and it fades out, that type of thing. The other idea was too is to create space for audio. At Bethel, audio is kind of
Você vê que, deixa eu voltar aqui um
more as
pouco,
like a light
que
fixture
eles,
instead of
olha a
as
diferença
content, because you can't put like a lot of
deles
content
para
on these. They
a
don't
gente aqui no
hold a
Brasil,
lot.
né?
It's very small, but
Eles
you can use
valorizam
them more as
muito
a light. And I
mais.
tell people that a lot with LEDs, like don't always use it for content.
Deixa
Like
eu dar uma
it's a
olhada.
giant light
Esperar
source,
ele
so you
voltar
can
aqui
do
para a área
stuff
que ele
like
tá
Liam's
falando.
been doing chases with these, or he can strobe it, or big, like on big moments he can use it as like a blinder.
Aqui. Você vê a diferença entre a gente e eles, é que a gente ia ter meio mundo de moving aí para ficar metralhando o estrobo. Eles usam um negócio bem wash assim para iluminar bem, varrer bem o palco com a luz, criar de fato uma atmosfera, né? Azul, aí fica aquele lavadão azul assim no fundo, misturado com laranja, um roxo. Enfim, eles usam uma criação de atmosfera, né? De ambiente, muito mais do que efeito para ficar piscando. Até porque se você usa muito estrobo, apaga muito luz, atrapalha a filmagem, né? Então, sem luz não tem filmagem. E eles transmitem tudo, então precisa estar tudo bem iluminado. E aí, essa é a razão também de ter muita coisa wash, lavada, assim, para iluminar bastante, porque qualquer take, qualquer lugar que eles vão ali vai ter uma área razoavelmente iluminada.
And it fades out, that type of thing. The other idea was too is to create space for audio. At Bethel, audio is kind of like the key thing. It's always been that way. And so having space for like there's no LED behind the drums, and there's not a giant lid reflecting the drums out into the vocal mics.
Tá falando aqui que eles também posicionam o LED ali para não refletir a bateria, criar um espaço para o áudio sair, né? Para não ficar arrebatando nos LEDs.
There's 2 to 3 people that create all the content that's for like the messages, speaker walk-ons, bumpers, like all that kind of stuff. For worship content, it's on our team. So our team is actually creating and generating all of the content for worship. So like Liam
então,
Monroe,
time aí especializado só para fazer esses graphics aí para passar na tela.
Creating it, and a lot of times on the fly.
Time
like
de
Liam
arte.
will be pulling stuff in and tweaking it in Resolume and making it different while worship's happening.
Usa o Resolume aí. O Resolume é um programa que consegue também fazer várias máscaras, né? Colocar em formatos diferentes.
In order to control lighting, Bethel uses the Grand MA3 lighting controller. Their entire lighting setup runs on 8 DMX universes, which are powered using these big racks behind the stage. The lighting console runs an Ethernet out into nodes on the stage, which convert to DMX and get run to each lighting fixture. Andrew, Drake's brother, is the lighting designer. He runs everything on the fly using color and intensity presets he programs into the board. He uses the faders to control movers and other effects so that he can easily make changes and adapt throughout worship.
So, how I run lighting, it's somewhat basic. I try not to be super flashy, of course, because it is worship and I don't want to be distracting. So, nice, slow movements.
Isso aí, ele falou que é básico.
Slow, symmetrical like chases is always nice. I really kind of focus in on like color, especially matching LED. Really get that nailed down.
Isso aqui é outra técnica que não precisa de dinheiro, né? É você combinar com a galera da projeção aí, do LED, enfim, para combinar a cor que vai rolar, né? Então, se o fundo vai estar vermelho, a gente combina, pô, na próxima música aí tem uma arte, a arte é azul, tá? Então, vamos de azul.
As a priority, and then kind of add like the movement and the effects part into it, and it just depends on the song. If it's a slow song, then there won't be like a whole lot of movement. It will just be kind of color and intensity changes.
Intensidade de luz e movimento tem a ver também com a construção da música, a música mais lenta, pouco movimento, pouca intensidade de luz também.
I don't like a lot of spotty fixtures because I don't like parts of the stage being highlighted more, especially for camera, because then it just looks hot spotty. So I like to.
O que eu falei aqui, eles não gostam muito de spot, né? Eles gostam desse wash, principalmente pelas câmeras, e aí ficam. Se você usa muito spot, uma área vai ficar muito escura, outra vai ficar muito clara. Se você usa o wash, como está mostrando aqui agora na tela, você vê que tá todas as áreas do palco aqui onde tem os músicos estão bem iluminadas. Então, onde a câmera apontar, ele tem certeza de que vai tirar um bom take. Então, como eles transmitem tudo, precisa que tudo esteja bem iluminado, né?
Create a big wash that way. Every shot on camera looks good and looks consistent.
A consistência do take também, né? Você pega a bateria que tá bem iluminada e chega por guitarra, tá tudo escuro.
Just kind of, I always tend to watch the multi-view a lot and just make sure that nothing is standing out, nothing looks weird on camera.
Legal,
That's kind of our goal, is
Também não
make it
custa
look
muito o
great
cara
for
ter um
broadcast,
multiview aí do
and make it sound
OBS
good too.
para ele ver como é que
yeah,
tá
I'm just
ficando a
constantly
câmera, né?
watching
E ajustar
multiview, making sure everything looks
a
good,
luz
and
para a câmera.
if that shot like doesn't look good to me, I'll try to fix it and do something so that shot looks better next time they take it. So.
A galera é muito prática, né? Tipo assim, não funcionou, vamos pra outra, ficou ruim, eu me ajeito depois, vamos embora. A galera profissional.
Clearly, lighting is closely related to everything else in this tech system, but it seems, among all the other things, that it is extremely important that lighting complements video and images displayed on the large LED panels. For software, the tech booth runs ProPresenter and Resolume, running on a MacBook and PC respectively. ProPresenter displays song lyrics and other visual aids for speakers. Resolume is used to display content on the LED panels. Both of these computers also have a custom input-output rig, so think of them as large dongles. The Resolume machine takes an SDI out of the ProPresenter machine and then overlays lyrics on whatever content is being displayed. The ProPresenter computer sends signal through SDI to the displays, to Bethel TV so everyone can have a countdown clock, an HDMI for the ATEM switch, a Cat5 cable for internet connection, and then stereo XLR outputs for the pre- and post-service music coming out of ProPresenter, and then 2 USB ins that can be used if necessary. The best part is, this rig only takes up 2 ports on the Mac, one for charging, and the headphone jack. Now, the ProPresenter tech has 2 main jobs. That being manually running slides during worship and using the video switcher to switch between camera 3, their safe wide camera and speaker camera, the program feed, which comes from Video Village, and the ProPresenter feed, which includes content that can be displayed during breaks and intervals. During worship, lyrics are overlaid over the main video feed. While slightly technical, the way this works at the conference is done through keying, a simple process where a color, normally green, blue, or black, is removed and the other colors are left untouched. The lyrics in ProPresenter have a black background, so the black background is keyed out with a Luma key, and the leftover text gets married to the video in broadcast, which is then displayed to the projector screens. The display and camera team are working very close together, and this part of the setup is my favorite part. But before we can get into Video Village, I think it may be time for a quick technical break to learn a little bit more about the history of Bethel and why they value leveraging these tools in worship.
Bom, até aqui ele tá falando que, enfim, a Bethel usa muito uma ideia de broadcast, né, de TV, de usar o Luma em vez de usar o Color Green Screen, né? Você manda preto no branco e aí você tira o Luma, que é só a parte preta, deixa o branco, que é o texto, para passar por cima da câmera ali e ajustar. Então, mesmo com VS, com muitas coisas rolando, eles usam um cara ali mesmo passando manualmente ali, como tem aí na sua igreja também, só passando ali a letra na hora certa. E aí o Resolume usa aqueles fundos com os conteúdos bem muito loucos assim, e o ProPresenter para a letra e os slides, né? Bom, aqui ele vai falar um pouco sobre a beta, então eu vou pular para a parte de vídeo.
Building big people, letting God do
different. We want to make sure we're high.
So far in this tech tour, we've covered how the Bethel production team creates an engaging worship environment for people attending their church or other live venue. But Bethel's reach expands far beyond the walls of this civic center or their local church campus. The secret behind this is the robust systems they've created to capture and broadcast their worship gatherings to the world.
Our philosophy of capturing worship is a little bit different. We want to make sure we're high energy, fast paced. We really want to make the user at home experience what we experience in the room. And that's our main end goal,
quer passar a experiência de estar lá para as pessoas que estão em casa.
Our iMag is not separate from our actual program feed that goes out to the streaming audience. Our iMag in-house is the exact same feed. So what we do is it's basically so that my philosophy for that is for the users in the building to actually feel like they're on stage and a part of the worship experience instead of separated from the stage. So it helps them engage more in worship while they're here.
So Chad uses his video booth setup to send a program feed of the cameras to broadcast and to the house displays. We'll get into a detailed demonstration of how that all works, but for now, let's take a peek at how broadcast utilizes the program feed. It starts here in Video Village, both at conference and at home, with a Mac in charge of monitoring the video feed and doing the streaming to Bethel TV. In their conference setup, if you head upstairs, you'll find Johnny Duran in charge of the broadcast mix. The key for any good broadcast is capturing and mixing excellent audio. Let's learn how they do it.
My name is Johnny Duran, and I'm an audio engineer for Bethel TV. We mix for broadcast for Bethel TV and for YouTube stuff. For this conference, we're getting audio from Monitor World, and they're sending us the feed. So we're kind of gain sharing with them, and it goes through our Orion interface, and then it goes back out into Video Guys, and they kind of put it together with the video. I'm running Pro Tools right now. My boss Luke Hendrickson, he created this template, fine-tuned it over the course of 7 years, 8 years, and this is what we use for everything pretty much, even our regular Sunday services. Video Guys take care of the rest.
Ele tá falando aqui que ele não tem uma mesa aqui, né? Ele tem um Pro Tools que está recebendo a DAW, né? Que está recebendo os canais separados roteados da mesa de monitoração de fone. E aqui ele mixa tudo separado e manda para a galera do ao vivo. O áudio já em LR, eles só juntam ali com o vídeo e manda para o ao vivo. E é legal isso porque também não é outra coisa muito cara de se fazer, né? Lá na nossa igreja nós fazemos isso também, que é ter uma DAW separada no Reaper, que é um gratuito também. Você pode fazer aí, pegar o Reaper, que é gratuito, fazer uma DAW aí da sua mesa digital, jogar nele, mixar tudo bonitinho, depois se joga para o OBS, que também é gratuito, e joga no YouTube. A live mais mixada, né? Com compressor, com gate, com equalizador, enfim, vários plugins você pode colocar aí.
Once I mix it, I send it to them and they broadcast it. Yeah, just like the front of house guys are mixing live, I'm mixing live too. So there's no post-production stuff. Only for like official Bethel music like releases, then they go back and do like post stuff, but everything else is live.
So Johnny mixes audio live and then sends that to the Video Village, where the audio gets married to the video, which is then sent to that previous mentioned MacBook running the stream for Bethel TV, which is operated through Vimeo's live streaming features. The biggest difference between this and their home setup is that Johnny is mixing on the Korg Nano Control 2 with buttons and faders mapped to Pro Tools, while at home they utilize a gigantic analog mixer with Pro Tools to do their mixing. What's so fascinating about their broadcast setup is the sheer amount of...
Eles estão na conferência, eles fizeram um setup um pouco mais reduzido, mas lá na própria Bethel eles têm uma mesa analógica gigante dessas de estúdio mesmo, com o Pro Tools interligado nela. Ela processa o áudio, manda para o Pro Tools manda para a galera do vídeo, né? E aí sinca tudo e manda para o ao vivo.
People that it reaches. I'm interested in learning a little bit more about how many people Bethel is truly reaching.
Yeah, right now, our current numbers, our reach has been not just locally but globally. I'll start off with locally. We have about 11,000 members that call Bethel their home. So every weekend, they're just 11,000 people are flowing through our little 1,200 seat. It's a 1,000-seat auditorium. So we do 4 services here at this campus. There are 2 on a separate campus, our Twin View campus, and then there's another service downtown in a theater. Apart from that, we average, I believe, another 5,000 visitors a week. The reach globally right now, our music, most of the people know our music. Most of our YouTube videos will, right now, there's a few of the YouTube videos that are actually in the 10 million view category. We have a podcast. Our podcast sees up to 1.5 million downloads a year. One of the things that's unusual is that our church has actual membership for watching services. We have a free membership which allows you to watch our Sundays for free, and allows you to replay the Sundays for a week. And then we have another 2 tiers of paid memberships that allows them to watch all of the previous Sundays, previous years. You can go all the way back up until 1998, I believe. And the other tier, you get access to all of the conferences for free. From what I've seen, within the past 2 months, we have about 20,000 members that are actual paid subscribers, and 400,000 that are free subscribers. On any given Sunday, about 75% pessoas se inscreveram nesse pacote para receber typically broadcast to our Bethel TV platform, YouTube, and once in a while we'll broadcast to Facebook. And our main views on YouTube average about, I think, about 2,000 to 3,000 per service that we broadcast on there.
200 a 300 mil pessoas por culto ao vivo.
Reach and success of Bethel's online ministry and their worship ministry presents unique challenges to Bethel's production team. Bethel's music is everywhere in contemporary churches, and because of their large online following, they often have to deal with copyright issues and people using their content.
Literally, there's YouTube channels where like they have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and all they've done is like literally ripped your streams or something from somewhere.
Oh, that, yes.
And just repost
those reposts, yes. So we actually, Bethel Music basically created a department for copyright infringement.
Como eles são muito grandes, as pessoas querem copiar, né, as coisas que eles fazem.
Clout, so to say, with YouTube,
e aí tem um departamento da igreja que cuida do copyright das coisas.
Some like, hey, this is, this people, this is not us, this is not us. And they'll send cease and desist letters to to some of the people that still.
Quanto mais a gente vai avançando, vai crescendo, mais complexo vão ficando as coisas.
Just because you put no copyright infringement intended doesn't mean that there's it's it's legal. To be honest, I get it to some point where a lot of our stuff you have to pay for it. Yeah. But on the other side of that is the reason why you have to pay for it is because we have a whole team that's actually busting their butts to do it. You guys saw it yesterday. We do 14 hours days for the conference, and then loadouts are usually 20 hours. Wow. And not a lot of people take that into account, and they're like, why don't you give it away for free or do this? Well, this is how I feed my family.
Really, it's no wonder that Bethel's online streaming service has a paid feature. Their production team is quite large and puts in insane amount of hours to make things like open heavens work. A significant portion of this production team, some volunteers, some paid, is their camera ops team.
Alguns são voluntários, outros são pagos, então essa produção, esse pacote ajuda a custear.
Everything being broadcast to Bethel TV and to the live displays relies pretty much entirely on what the camera team is doing. Let's break down the gear that they use to make video production happen. Bethel rocks Blackmagic Ursa 4K cameras for the majority of their setup. They have a 6K pocket cinema camera, also by Blackmagic, that they use mainly for crowd shots. And then they have 2 broadcast Ursas for their pedestal cameras in the tech booth. Not that they really need the pedestals, because they tend to do everything handheld. They have 1 pedestal camera that does do a consistent safe shot, which is wise. As far as lenses go, they normally use a 70 to 100 mm zoom, but for drums they do go a bit wider. Every camera is equipped with some sort of zoom lens, and this gives each of the ops a lot more versatility as they are doing all of their adjustments on the fly and can adapt much more efficiently. The cameras are then routed to the video booth using a combination of wireless packs and hardwire SDI connections, which goes into a fiber converter and then into the board. Because they use Blackmagic cameras which have powerful sensors, they don't have to do any color correction or use any LUTs. They just send all the camera feeds directly to the video booth. The style of Bethel's camera operators is unlike anything I've ever seen in live church production. Instead of slow pans and wide angles, the operators really get in on the action and create an incredible amount of movement that dynamically gives the video a lot of life. Let's talk to Nathan,
ângulos diferentes, isso aí que é disruptivo nesse sentido da beta.
Scheduler in charge of load out and load in, cam op, I also direct. So our cam opping style, we try to include as much movement and energy as we can in our shots. The reason we do that, we try to match the music as much as we can. So having aggressive movements during, not necessarily aggressive music, but more energetic music kind of
músicas mais alegres, mais enérgicas, movimento mais enérgico, música mais lenta, movimento mais lento.
It's just doing a pretty little dance.
Meio que dançando ali com a câmera.
Something I do, it's
Isso é
not
bem
all
legal.
just in my hands. I kind of sway back and forth with my feet too. And a way that we usually get started, I mean, it's not something that we do during a stream, but kind of like a starting point would be to draw figure eights. Like if you had a bullseye on the front of your lens, drawing a figure eight with it is kind of where we start. But at that point, we kind of take it to more of a less predictive movement, but that's kind of where we all start, is drawing figure eights. Stage cams, we do a lot of whips. Crowd stuff, we do a lot of whips, so finding a target and whipping to it, making sure that you're going to be able to get your focus. Sometimes we don't always, but we try our best. That's another way to increase energy.
Acaba atrapalhando esse movimento.
Like when we start a whip, I would say in my situation, it's more up to me. Chad, our main director, kind of trusts us in that kind of decision. So he'll call us, he'll come to us, and I'll kind of line up my shot, making sure that the audience knows what I'm shooting first. Say it's the keys. Letting them establish that they're looking at the keys, and like maybe I'll do like 1 second or so.
Uma pegada mais orgânica, né? Mais natural, essa mudança de... Muito legal isso aí. Essa energia naquele espaço. Tudo isso para a pessoa que está em casa e está assistindo também ter a mesma energia. Às vezes nem tá aquela pegada toda, mas...
More of the, I guess, broadcast style, and it's like I'm not feeling that same energy that I felt in the room. But that's kind of like our main goal, is like those people watching can experience that same energy.
Assista qualquer clipe da beta, você sente como se estivesse lá.
Letting
As câmeras
online and in the room actually see different parts of the room that they're not able to from their position. So like getting crowd reactions from songs, people encountering the Lord can actually lead that person into an encounter themselves. So like us being able to get those really helps too. And then like obviously getting close up of instruments that might be taking over. In the audience, you might not be able to see that from the back, but having a camera up close and personal kind of lets you see what kind of instruments taking over and leading the group.
Chad runs this whole system from his video booth setup, both here and at home. And the way it happens is relatively simple. All of the video feeds from the cameras get routed through Blackmagic fiber converters into the Blackmagic Smart Hub 40x40, which is a 40 in, 40 out interface that sends the feed to a production ATEM 4K switcher that allows Chad to switch the feeds live. With the ATEM comes the ability to change routing through the software or simply through the panel on the switcher. Then, as backup, the HyperDecks record the live feed, and the HyperDeck Mini records an H.264 version for social media, which just means it's more compressed than the raw feed. There is one more piece to the Video Village, and it is the coolest part, I would argue, of their entire tech setup. A custom-built, live, 60 frame per second slow motion machine. This thing can take a feed from any one of the cameras, slow it down live, and then automatically speed ramp back up to normal speed. It looks like this.
Ah, legal. Eles têm uma máquina de fazer slow motion lá. Pega uma parte da câmera e muda.
I mean, with 8 camera feeds, Chad has a lot on his plate as he switches.
Fazer slow motion ao vivo, hein?
So, how do they communicate to each other? Here is a live example of the program feed, of Chad switching, and their comms communication, so you can really get a feel of how all this comes together.
3, 8. Yeah, give me Jack right there. Just stand Jack. Yeah.
Comunicação do Chad aí, o diretor de vídeo com a galera da câmera. Eu tô bem em cima do PGM, né? Mas, enfim, isso aqui é o que tá indo pra live. Isso aqui é o preview, né? O da direita é o PGM e o da esquerda é o preview. Você vê que a mudança é muito rápida porque a intensidade da música tá bem lá em cima, né? Então muda muito de câmera e a câmera tá sempre muito em movimento também para dar essa impressão de intensidade. Que bom que você chegou aqui até o final. Espero que você tenha aprendido muito com esse Tech Tour que a gente fez aí na Bethel Open Heavens Conference. E espero que você tenha gostado muito do conteúdo, aprendido e colocar em prática aí na sua igreja. Curta, se inscreva, compartilhe aí com o seu time e espero que você cresça muito em aprendizado aí com a técnica da sua igreja e aplique muitas coisas. Um beijo no seu coração. Até mais. Valeu!